What's up, everybody? It's Strings and Sweaters. My name is Tim, and today I wanted to dip my toes into the football world again and do another football video where I predict the first round playoff games. So, let's start with the AFC. We have the Bengals versus the Ravens. And being a Steelers fan, I know very much about these teams. Interestingly, the Ravens are going to have to start Tyler Huntley. And Tyler Huntley also has a shoulder injury, but he's practicing in full, and he will be expected to play. Now, the thing about Tyler Huntley is he's very similar to Lamar Jackson. He can make throws, but he uses his feet. That's his advantage. And with his shoulder injury, you're going to have to change your game style up a little bit. Maybe stay in the pocket, maybe throw it away more. Not, pound yourself into the defensive players to get a touchdown. But who am I to say Tyler Huntley doesn't have the heart to put an injury aside and play physical? On the other end, you have Joe Burrow. He's coming back from a Super Bowl loss. He is hungry. He wants it. And the Bengals have just got T. Higgins back in their lineup. And so the Bengals have a lot of threats, and just something that's recently developed is they have Hayden Hurst. Remember when Hayden Hurst used to play for the Ravens? Well, he's back on the Bengals, and they've been using him a lot more. And, you would think with, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, you don't really need too many threats, but it's been really nice for the Bengals to have Hayden Hurst and that fourth option to throw to. And then you have Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon's going to be a problem for the Ravens defense. So, really the Bengals, they have McPherson too. People discount special teams, but if this game does come down to the fourth quarter, McPherson is going to be that consistent kicker that will get you far into playoffs. So I don't see the Ravens being able to beat the Bengals. Joe Burrow will move on. Will he get to the Super Bowl again? I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, let's go to our next AFC game. We have the Bills versus the Dolphins. Another quarterback controversy. Tua is going to be out on concussion protocol. That is good to hear because, Tua had some scary moments this year with head injuries, and I really don't want to see a young player have to leave the NFL early because of CTE or some sort of neurological problem. So let him take his time. So instead, we have Thompson. Thompson's a rookie. He's out of Kansas State. I've read articles saying that, because, there's not much footage on him, film on him, that he dropped in the draft, and he's really much better. But I don't know. That just seems like a bunch of cap. Either way, you're going against the Bills. It's Josh Allen. It's Stephon Diggs. The Bills are super hot right now, and they're not cooling off into the playoffs. I see the Bills going super far, and they're not losing to the Dolphins. So, Mike McDaniel, it will be fun to watch him, coach his first playoff game. That will be cool, but unfortunately, the year is going to end early for the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill, you'll have to be sitting on the couch with all that speed in you. Moving on, we have the Jaguars versus the Chargers. Now, it's just recent news that Mike Williams is going to be out. And that's Mike Williams for you. He plays super hard. He's an amazing wide receiver when he's healthy, but he plays so hard and he constantly gets injured. He has a fracture in his back, so he's going to be out. The Chargers are going to really have to rely on Herbert. Herbert's a great quarterback, but he's not elite in the same way that others are, and he needs that help. He needs that consistent wide receiver game that he had out of Mike Williams. So it's going to be a tough battle. I'm expecting this to be a close game. The Jaguars have been really hot. People need to start giving the Jaguars their flowers. Trevor Lawrence has come into form. They're being well coached now, and they have a good wide receiver game. And as my friend Travis says, Duval. This is my hot take. I think the Jaguars are going to beat the Chargers. They've shown it. They've proven it throughout the season that they can beat hard teams. They have a great running game. All the pieces have kind of come into place for the Jaguars. It's amazing to see because they were just one of the worst teams last year. So, yeah. So I think Jaguars are moving forward. That's my hot take. Let me know in the comments if that's the dumbest thing ever that you've ever heard. But let's move on. So in the NFC now we have the Buccaneers versus the Cowboys. So the Cowboys have an amazing defense. They have Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons, I'm sure he's going to be teaching old man Brady some lessons, some new ways that the body can be contorted. And you have Dak. You have Ezekiel Elliott. But unfortunately for the Cowboys, you just have bad coaching and for some reason just a crap culture where you choke every time you get to the playoffs. I don't really know what it is, but the Cowboys, they can't win playoff games. And they're going to play down to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have had a tough year. Tom Brady has had a tough year, personally and on the field. They got Julio Jones. That hasn't really panned out too well for them. They have an iffy tight end game. Leonard Fournette, he needs to be the one to show up and really be the backbone of this team. The one thing I'll give Tom Brady is he has playoff experience. So there's that. But I don't know. I don't see the Buccaneers as being the place Tom Brady gets his next Super Bowl. I think if he stays, he's going to go to a new team. And I don't see the Buccaneers as... They have a different coaching staff this season. I don't know what it is, if it's the coaching staff or if it's Brady, but there's miscommunications. And when there's miscommunications and your quarterback isn't a physically elite athlete, it's a mental game for, Tom Brady. He's always won through the mental game. And if that's not there, I just don't see it likely. So another hot take, Cowboys moving forward, beating the Buccaneers, which will set up one of the greatest NFC playoff games ever, which will be the Cowboys versus the Eagles. That's my prediction. That game is going to be sick. So hopefully the Cowboys don't choke, so we get to see that. But next up, we have the Vikings. Hello. Oh, next up, we have the Vikings versus the Giants. Now, I have been a very poor New York sports fan, and I haven't watched a single Giants game this season, so I'm really not the person to talk about how the Giants are this or that. I know they have Saquon back. I know Danny Dimes has gotten his swagger back. They have Kadarius Toney, and they have good coaching overall. But I think what it really comes down to with these teams is going to be having a hot wide receiver, a dominant wide receiver. And the Vikings have Justin Jefferson. I mean, who are you gonna take in if it's going to be a 50-50 ball? Kadarius Toney catching it or Justin Jefferson, So Kirk Cousins, I know everyone's out on him. They want a new quarterback. They think he's trash. But he can throw the ball up, and Justin Jefferson will come down. Also, Dalvin Cook is an amazing running back. They're going to be able to dominate the clock if they get a lead. I just don't see the Giants beating the Vikings. So Vikings move forward. Will Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, will he be back with the Giants next year? I think he will. But I could see the Giants taking a rookie quarterback in this draft. And last up, we have the Seahawks versus the 49ers. Now, I have been really high on Geno Smith this year. And if you watch the last game, Geno made an amazing throw. Just put it in this tight pocket right over the defender's hands for a touchdown. he's also great on his legs, and he is an amazing leader. I mean, he doesn't just say it, he shows it. Like, there was a play last game where he ran and he just got clobbered. He clobbered into the sideline, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to come back from that, but he did, and they won in overtime. So he's been this amazing leader. No one really believed Pete Carroll, or thought he knew what he had, but he did know what he had. He knew he could move on from Russ, and be confident in Geno Smith, because Geno Smith is a legit quarterback, and people need to give him the respect he deserves. He makes amazing throws, and he commands the team. So I think the Seahawks are going to be coming into the playoffs strong. It seems like this team has a chip on their shoulder, and I think each player on this team takes accountability for themselves. So this team is like, it's almost, when it lost Russ, it lost a leadership role, but they've all decided just to step up and be like, have this sort of oligarchy of self-leadership. And that's sort of what you need in the playoffs. If you have one guy and no one respects him, or people are just, they're just not going to play hard for one guy. I think the Seahawks are really stepping up and just being accountable for their own, play, their own responsibilities. So I think the Seahawks are going to be a tough team to beat in the playoffs. But on the other side, you have the 49ers. You have Brock Purdy. You have Christian McCaffrey. So signing Christian McCaffrey was the best thing the 49ers could have done. Really, that's the one element, key piece they needed in that offense. And they become a dominant team. And they've been very fortunate to have Brock Purdy, too, to help them out. So I think, even though I really love the Seahawks and I'm going to be rooting for them, I want to give it to the 49ers. I think they're going to beat the Seahawks. Just looking at the matchups earlier this year, the 49ers have had the Seahawks number. So I don't think anything's going to change in the playoffs. Yeah. So those are my predictions. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Let me know what you disagree with. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? We'll make another video next week for the predictions in the second round. But thanks for watching. This is Strings and Sweaters. Please leave a like. Please subscribe. And thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good weekend. Peace out, y'all.